Welcome to Just Start, Get Visible, your go-to resource of the journey to becoming more visible in a way that feels right for you.
This is truly a conversation that's been in the making for a while.
Yeah.
We have been talking about getting together to dialogue about all the things and the spaces that you've been in, and a really big one that we'll talk about from a personal standpoint in a second. But first, just out the gate, I just want to get straight to it. Derrick, when we think about home renovation and real estate and home improvement, is this the space that you thought you would be in?
No, I mean, not at all. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew who I wanted to be, right? So like when I was a kid, like I would always see like these things on TV where like the guys would walk, they were like suits and briefcase. I'm like, that's a businessman. I want to be a businessman. I didn't know what they did, how they made money, you know, where they were going, but that persona like was like what I wanted, right? So I said, okay, I'm gonna be a businessman. And that's throughout my entire life. I was like, I'm gonna be a businessman. No clue where I was going with that, right? And then just we landed here.
Yeah. Back then, though, when you thought about, I'm going to be a businessman, how did you even know what a businessman was?
I didn't. I just knew what it looked like.
Okay.
You know, it just, like the guy had a briefcase, right? Like you had some important business in that briefcase. And so I'm like, I want to be that important guy, you know? And I just, I don't know. I mean, it's just who I was, right? I as a child, I was always kind of like organized, and, you know, certain things had to be a certain way. And so that just kind of led to where we are now.
Yeah. What's very interesting about the certain thing got to be a certain way, I feel like is one of the ways that we connected. You know this a little bit, but let me just share it even further. We met, of course, through the Goldman Sachs Small Business Program out of Baltimore. And most of the people who are in the audiences that I serve know that I'm from Detroit. I talk about Detroit a lot.
Yep.
And one thing that we're known for in Detroit is our hair, for sure, okay?
Yeah. I know where we're going.
Right? And so one day I was like, where are you from? Just out of pure curiosity, because your waves made me dizzy. And I was like, where are you from?
You were walking by, we were going down the stairs, and you were walking behind me, and you were like, where are you from? I'm like, what type of question? She's like, no, because your waves. I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening.
Right. But what I think is interesting is in the DC area, which is where you're from, I don't recall seeing waves be a thing, or was that just an era that I missed altogether?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, my father, he had wavy hair, you know, and again, go back to when I was a child, and I would be, you know, with him in the mirror, and he would always like brush his hair, and I would always see it wave up. And then from a child, like they just started to wave up, and then I just kept it forever. It just happened to be there.
Right.
People are like, oh, how long have you had them? Or how long did it take you to get waves? I'm like hair has been like this forever, like literally from the beginning.
Yeah,
so.
You're not making nobody jealous out there at all with them practicing and having a hair regimen.
They brushing 100 times a day, you know, they wetting, and I see the YouTube videos, I see the wave checks online, so I know what's going on, but I'm not doing wave checks, so don't worry.
Okay, I support you. I'm not jealous at all either. Well, I mentioned at the start of our conversation, I was talking about the home renovation piece and the home improvement piece, and if you thought this is what you'd be doing.
Right.
It's the perfect time to make sure that our audience knows about the space that you're in. So tell us about DAS, tell us about how it came to be, and specifically what you do there.
Right, so let's see, where do we start? Okay, let's start back, I guess, from one of my first retail jobs, right? I worked at a couple box stores. I won't say their names, but
they got their own PR team. They don't need us.
And I'm sure what I'm about to tell you, they don't want me representing them anyways, right? so I worked for one of them, and one of them were like really good, right, in terms of like training and making sure that you were in the right spaces to do your job properly. And I was what they call like a specialist, right? It was just a special name they gave for somebody that, you know, they wanted to pay a little bit more money. And so they would send us to training, but like it was perfect for me as like I was, how old was I? I think I was 19, 18 around that time. And so they would send us away for training. So at 18, 19, I'm like, you're going to pay for my hotel, per diem, and I'm going to still get paid for being at work. I'm going every single time. So they would send us to all these trainers. And I would do them just because it just seemed like a good idea. But I was learning so much.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the first step. And then afterwards, I transitioned to another box store. Again, young and just trying to chase the money. They were paying more money. So this job, it was salary and commission.
Oh, wow.
And so the idea was that, okay, I can take what I learned from this store, all the training, all the experience, go here and crush it. And that's exactly what happened. I'm like, it's commission. Okay, I need to acquire the customer, keep the customer, and just sell them, right? I was doing it already. I just wasn't getting the commission for it. Now I had a little bit more of a motivation to do it. And so with those two stores, I just took that and I ran with it. You know, bought my first house, started in real estate investment. You know, it was I didn't start at renovation first. It started with investing first.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've talked about just your real estate aspirations from a community growth and support standpoint, but I didn't know that real estate development was first.
Yeah. So my very first idea was I want to be like this flipper, right? It was back when flipping was like a big deal, you know, and I'd be this flipper. My cousin was a real estate agent, and I hope she don't mind me telling her this, but like she would like just let me in the houses. Like, I'm not gonna drive you around to these houses. You know, I'm young. You're not gonna buy anything. I know she was thinking, but she would let me into these houses, and I would go. I would analyze them, and then finally I bought a house, right?
Yeah.
And I bought it, and from all the training I had, I said, okay, I'm gonna renovate the house myself.
You with your own hands and your waves.
And my waves.
Okay.
And my waves, right? The problem was not only was I working, but I also had a landscaping company at the time. At a landscaping company at the time, I was working and I was in school. So the issue was like there wasn't enough time.
Right.
So I commissioned my brothers. They came, they did some work for me. I commissioned one of my buddies who I used to hang out with. He was a carpenter. He did some work for me. And then at night, when I get off from school around 6 o'clock, I would come from 6 all the way through night, and I would work throughout the night. Then I would do that every day over and over again. So 6 p.m. to whatever time, work at the house, go to work, go to school, come back, work on the house. And I did that for I don't know how many months.
Wow.
So again, bought a couple more houses and some multi-units after that, and realized, okay, I can renovate these houses myself. You know, I know what I'm doing. Some of which I haven't physically done myself, but like I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I can manage a person. I can see if you're doing it right or wrong. And then that's how I transitioned into renovation. Customers started saying, hey, can you do mine too? The neighbors would say, hey, you know somebody who did this, who did that? And I'd say me. And then we just kind of grew from there.
Yeah. Yeah, so much about that I just did not know.
Yeah.
I do think one of the key things that is important, and I think it's important as you're growing anything, let alone a business like yours, is the team piece, right? I mean, of course, you could have did a whole bunch of stuff with your own hands, but at some point it's like, I need a team around me.
Sure.
How hard has it been? And we haven't talked about this a whole bunch throughout our friendship, but how hard has it been for you to welcome new people in order to grow your business? Like, how hard has that been for you?
That is one of the most hardest things, for two reasons. One, because I do have the knowledge and the skill to do a lot, I tend to try to do it myself. Then the other piece is that, you know, the two crews that I have currently now, they've been with me for over 10 years.
Oh.
All right.
You trust them.
I trust them. They've been in my home unassisted, unattended. They've been in a lot of my clients' home unassisted, unattended, you know, and a lot of my clients know them by face, know them by name, and they love them.
Yeah.
You know, so when I do bring on a new person, they usually go under one of those foremans. Or they'll come along with me. I'll show them the ropes. But I don't bring on too many new people because honestly, we don't really need it. You know, the way that I manage the clients, I don't schedule out too far, but I schedule out enough where I'm getting everybody done. Nobody is waiting for 3, 4, 5 months, you know.
Yeah.
And if we're booked up, I just tell you, you know, we don't have the space or the capacity to take you right now. I can give you a call or call me back, however that goes. But yeah, I'm good with the two crews I got.
Yeah. I've personally had the privilege of experiencing the high level of quality and service that your company has, that you commit to executing. And we'll talk about the project in a short while. But when I think about hospitality and I think about commitment to service, where does that desire come from for you? Like, is that just a natural thing, or does that come from some other part of your life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think most of it has to be kind of embedded in you, right? It's a part of who you are, and then that transitions into like what you do for, you know, work or for a living. for me, my parents, they, always taught like respect, right? Certain things you just do when you're in the presence of a man or a woman. What certain things you do when you enter someone's home. These things are just embedded in me, right? And then you go into the business piece where, obviously I've had some training and some education behind it. And so you put those two together and you kind of have something pretty special. And so I think using those things together, and then again with the experience of going to different clients' homes, you pick up certain things too, and you just build from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's critical now. Like we've talked about this before, just going to places and just like, wow, this service is deplorable. Right. Like, I mean, it is amazing how much service industry, wherever it is, has taken such a hit from a hospitality standpoint. So I appreciate your company still is committed to that overall.
Yeah, and I, that is one of the most important pieces I feel like for our company. Sure, we can, build great things and we can make things look good and we can make your dreams come true. But at the end of the day, right, if we're not treating people the proper way, if we're not responding, fast enough, if we're not doing the things that we know people care about on the back end, then nothing else really matters, right? Yeah. You have a one-time client and that's it. That's not what we're not doing that, right? Yeah. Most of our clients are repeat customers. They come back all the time. We don't do much marketing or advertising, anything like that. Most of it is word of mouth, friends, family, etc. And that just goes to show, like, we're doing something right. If you're going to refer us to everybody that you know, and we don't have to do any marketing, then that says something about the company.
Yeah. The dreams come true thing that you just said, I think is so interesting because even as I think about the projects that we've worked on around here and even other projects you've worked on with other people, they may think, hey, I want this home improvement project. I want this elevation in my home. But the dreams come true piece has happened in ways that I would imagine you haven't even expected. So what has been some unexpected experiences that you've had as a result of working on projects in people's homes? Like, what have been your unexpected spaces?
Yeah. That's also a good question. So I'm very careful with how can I say, whatever clients tell me, whatever I experience in their home, like that stays there, right? So I'm very careful about that. But I will share two kind of recent situations, right? And by the way, I really do think that we are making dreams come true. That's not just a tagline. That's not something that sounds good. And I haven't always accepted that, right? It wasn't until recently where I was doing some reflecting, excuse me. And it was one client that I had. His line to me was, "You helped save my marriage."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very. I gotta put my water back down here.
Yeah, it was. At first, when he said it, I received it, but I didn't quite take it as serious as I thought I should.
Yeah.
Or as I think he meant it to be. And when I had further conversation with him, it was very true. Long story short, when you own a home, there's always multiple things that you have to do, right? Yes. There's always a list.
All the time.
There's always a list. And even people ask me about buying homes, I'm like, there's always gonna be a list. You're never done. I don't care if it's brand new, you're never done. And so the issue was that he and his wife would always have disagreements on what they should do with the house, right? They would have a list, as husband and wife, this may be important to him, but may not be as important to her, and vice versa. So they had this list, and they would always argue about it. And so because of that, they just didn't do anything. Okay, so we had a conversation, and he kind of expressed that to me, and I said, and he said, I don't think that, it may work. We've been going through this for some years, and I simply said, don't worry about it, I'll handle it. And he was like, no, I don't think you understand. Don't worry about it, I'll handle it. Let's set an appointment. Let me come over. I'll have a conversation. Let's see where this goes. Long story short, it worked out, right? The project happened. I was able to give them a list of things from most important to least important on what to work on. I gave them a plan to say, okay, listen, I know you guys want to do X now. Let's just work on this for now, right? Later, we'll come back and we'll work on this. This will transition into this, right? And I was able to show them, like, okay, we don't have to spend a ton of money today. Or I don't have to give you a large bill and say, hey, this is what it costs to do all these things. I can create this kind of plan for you where we can go along the next year or two, however many years it takes, to get this all done. And they were, I think they were pretty happy. I mean, he said I saved their marriage, so I guess they were happy. And then the second one was most recent, she was going through a situation where she needed to move back home.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say that the house wasn't in a condition that she was used to. All right, she was coming from her own like condo, apartment, etc. She lived a certain way. Her parents lived a different way, and she just was not comfortable. And her quote to me was something along the lines of, "You allowed me to dream again," or you gave me a space to dream again. That's what she said, and I didn't know exactly what that meant, right? And she further explained, just said that I didn't have a space where I felt comfortable. I didn't feel at home. I always wanted to be away. It was creating issues between me and my family members. And after we did the renovation, she just felt like, it was home for her, and for her, we transitioned her basement from just a regular basement to a full apartment. So she had a kitchen, bedroom, living room, laundry, everything. And so she just said this is my home now. She felt really, really good about it. And so, those type of projects, those are my favorites. Not because of what we did or the design aspect or whatever. It's really about the type of impact that I make on the customer and on their house. That's what makes it. That's most important for me.
Yeah, it's home and your ability to make it comfortable. I can attest to all that in so many ways because you and your company are responsible for literally the backdrop of this conversation today. Your company consulted with me on the color and the lighting and the beautiful wood that's here and all the things. And when I'm able to sit here and work and look out the window, when I'm able to sit here and enjoy the light, when I'm able to showcase, two of my most proud things, which are my books and products that I've created, right here, it really feels good. And so it really is, it is bigger than just, nail and woods. It's this is showcasing the things that are the most important in my life, right?
For sure, yeah. We're definitely not transition, but we are we're transforming, spaces where people can feel comfortable. They're more efficient, it's more organized. And so for you, this was a very good project to showcase, there was nothing here, right?
It was nothing here.
There was nothing here.
Yeah.
And the main concern was the window being in the middle.
Oh, that was a big concern.
Yeah, it's a concern because what are we going to do? How are we going to get around it? Whatever. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And you had a sketch, so
my state of the art drawing.
Right. And so what's crazy is that's how we usually start off with most of our clients.
Yeah.
I tell them, listen, just send me what it is that you would love your space to look like. Right? You can take it on Pinterest, Google, I don't care what it is. Just send me a photo. I know what your space looks like. I know the measurements. Send me a photo and I'll see if I can make it happen. Yeah. And usually that's the case, right? You were already 2 steps ahead of me. I didn't have to tell you that.
You're
like, okay, so I did a sketch and here are the measurements. I was like, do you need a job? You want to be hired? What's going on here? And so.
But my nails.
Well, we'll figure it out, because you had it all situated. And I'm like, okay. Not only is this makes it a little bit easier, but it helps me to understand what your vision is, what your goals are, and it's really up to me to just bring that to life, and that's what we try to do every time.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I still very much love this space, and there are lots of my friends who come over who haven't seen this space yet, and they're like, "What?" Right?
Oh, it's like a surprise.
Yes,
right,
it is.
Yeah.
Well, in that same vein, it makes me think about creativity, right? And it doesn't seem like you can do this work in the way that you choose to do this work without embracing creativity. And so how do you continuously refine your ability to stay creative and do this important, really life-changing work in people's homes?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I think it also, I don't want to, give you the same answer, but it's really just a type of thing that's in you. You know what I mean? I find inspiration and beauty in all things, right? Yeah. Just people walking down the street, jewelry, cars, motorcycles, architecture, some may see one thing in an item and I see something else, right? I don't know if we call it a gift or not, but it's just I look at things a little bit differently. And so I use all those things in my designs. When I walk in someone's home and I see what type of vibe they got going on, I can kind of use what I know, see what they have, and then kind of create something later, right? And that's one of the things I do when I do my walkthroughs, right? When I do the first walkthrough, I come in your house and I'm looking around. You may not know it, right?
I didn't know it.
I'm looking around. I'm paying attention to certain things. I'm looking at colors, floors. I'm looking at my eyes, my ears. It's always active, right? And that's part of what drives my design, and then also what keeps me going, right? Because no one house is the same, right? And that's why when you see like a lot of my projects, none of them look the same. You know, they may be some that may be similar just because of the trend that's going on and people want the trend. But like I try to not reuse the same tile or the same this or the same that. It just depends on what the customer wants ultimately, but I try not to redo things. But again, like my inspiration, you know, it just comes from all things, you know, my everyday life. I'm walking, I'm driving, I'm talking, I'm watching a movie, whatever it is, I'm picking up things and I'm storing it. I'm storing it. And at some point it comes out. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it'll come out.
You know what? I have to dig there just a little bit because of some of the conversations we've had around art and jewelry and cars and design. Your conversation now about those things and how you draw inspiration that ultimately helps you to make recommendations. And yes, you can go back to saying, I think it's just in you. However, I'm curious about the kernel of whatever existed as a kid, in school, whatever, that makes you tap into all those spaces in ways that I don't see a lot of people doing. Like I see some people that are into art, they are into cars, they are into design, they're into jewelry, but collectively, they may not be somebody who's into all those things. That all feed off of each other if you think about it. So why? Where did that come from? And it's not just in you.
I mean, I'm gonna give you a different answer, but it's probably gonna sound the same, right? So, but I'll give you a few things. So, as a child, my father, he would always say to me to get my hair cut. Like we're not skipping haircut day, period. Right?
Every week?
Probably every weekend. Yeah, it definitely didn't go past 2 weeks for sure.
Okay.
You know, but probably every weekend I would say. My mom, she always she dressed nice. She worked in clothing stores, so she would, get the discounts with those. She always dressed nice. My father always dressed nice. He always had good cars, good watches and stuff. In fact, the watch I'm wearing today was his.
Oh, nice.
And so, I just think back as a child, all the things I'm doing today are just like the adult me. I was doing all these things before. Like when I had little bikes, I would wash my bike.
It was like the kid you.
It's the kid me today, correct?
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, like my bikes, I would wash my bikes, wash the wheels of my bikes. Who washed their bike?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't even know why I was doing it. But clearly,
it was dirty.
It probably, it probably even wasn't dirty. But I probably saw my father washing his truck, and I'm like, all right,
this is what we do.
The vehicle is supposed to be washed. This is my vehicle. It needs to be washed. So I was doing all types of things, and again, I think that foundation. Me watching my parents, me being around my older cousins, my aunts, just those things alone, probably, shaped me to who I am. And then also too, I think my very first job, I was working in the Department of Justice.
What?
It's way off. I know it's way off the scale, right? But I had a government job, and I only bring that up because. When we talk about clothing and fashion and being mature and all these things, at 16 I was working in the government, and I had to start learn how to catch a subway.
Yeah.
Never had caught public transportation ever, right? But I had to learn how to catch a subway, and I'm around all these adults. Walking into these big government buildings and these people in suits and dresses and all this stuff, and then I'm going to the courthouse and everybody is super serious, and and I'm just a kid trying to catch a paycheck.
Right,
you know what I mean? But again, looking back, all those things just helped shape me. I knew how to carry myself around certain people. I knew how to, when I come into a courtroom and I'm going into the chambers, I knew how to conduct myself, who to speak to, who not to speak to, what rooms not to go to, and why. All those things I've collected over the years, and it's just been a stored, bank of information. And again, at some point it comes out, and here we are.
Yeah. I was having this conversation, or I was speaking about this a little bit earlier today. I taught a class, and I was talking about reframing and how a lot of the default things that we have that we do, the behaviors that we have are often implanted in us way before the era that we're in right now,
Yeah.
whether for good or for bad, right? And it's up to us to choose like which of those things I want to use and which are no longer serving me, right? And prime example here is, most people don't know this about me, and I don't even think you know this about me, is that I am a catastrophizer. Do you know what that is?
Catastrophizer.
Catastrophizer.
No, I even said it wrong.
A catastrophizer means that you assume the worst first, which I know feels very off-brand for me, right? Like you get messages from me midweek. Let's be great this week, right?
Yeah. Okay. It don't make sense.
But I know that about myself, and that seed of that was implanted in me when I was a kid from, the way that I was raised, and I have to choose now. Like, my default is thinking the worst first. Like, if you text me, the first thing I think is like, ooh, what's wrong?
Really?
That's my yes. But I have trained myself out of buying into that. Like, 3 seconds in, I can shake myself out of it. But it's amazing how just that, I know where it came from. It came from my childhood. And we have to decide, like, which of those things we're going to keep and which we're not.
That's interesting. I mean, and I'm actually complete opposite.
You assume the best first?
Yeah. It's always, I'm always, first of all, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
You're going to have to prove to me that you're trash. Like, I'm not gonna, right? Like, I'm not gonna assume you're trash just because whatever, right? Like, you gotta prove to me, and probably more than once.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna give you a few chances, because maybe you made a mistake.
Sure. 3 times.
Maybe you had a bad day.
3 times.
Or 10. But, who's counting, right? But yeah, no, I just feel like everybody deserves a chance, and sometimes we have bad days and sometimes things don't go our way, right? And so I just always like, all right, it'll be better.
Yeah.
This is like my always first thought. And sometimes I'm wrong.
Because you're a human.
Sometimes I'm wrong. But, I'm okay with the lesson.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lesson from it.
Always.
So I'm okay with the lesson. I mean, sometimes it may cost me some money. It may cause me some grief, and, I may lose a little bit of sleep, but it's a lesson behind it, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and you choose to do something with that lesson or not.
Yeah, for sure.
But that makes me think about mistakes, right? And lots of people that tune into the audiences that I curate and the spaces that I host, they know that I'm pretty open about mistakes because you have an opportunity to learn from mistakes.
Yep.
So as you think about your career journey, particularly what you've built, in the real estate and home improvement space, what's one of the bigger mistakes that you've made that is quite memorable for you?
I'm not sure. I'm sure I've made some mistakes, right?
Uh-oh, you about to hit me with the I don't make mistakes.
No. But like, so I told you, like, I'm always like that positive thinking person, right?
Yes.
And so if something happens, I never think like, oh, it's a mistake. Like, my first thought is like, I have a solution.
Okay.
Like, immediately, But, it's a good question because recently I was thinking how I can change this, like, recurring thing that's been happening, right? Yeah, and it keeps coming up, and I'm not sure why. I think I know why, but I'm not sure why. But the recurring thing is that people assume that we only do large projects. Like, we only do big renovations, and we like this, like, extreme design, and we only doing all these, like, large things. And that's true, right? Like, our focus is design and renovation.
Yeah.
However, the way that I built the company was so that if you have a home, the first thing that you think of is Des or Derrick when it comes to something that has to happen at your house, right? Anywhere from the roof down to the foundation, right? So sure, I'll come in and I'll renovate your entire kitchen, but we'll also come install your toilet,
right?
It doesn't make any sense for me to provide services where I can renovate your whole home, but not come back to that same home and service you in a maintenance way, right? In a repair way. It just doesn't, for me, it just doesn't make sense. And so again, I don't know why or how people have gotten this, like, perception of us. And it could be, my lack of social media posting and so forth, because again, we don't do advertising, but I try to give people a look into what we do through social media.
Yeah.
And it could be from that, but I hear it a lot. They're like, oh, I didn't think that you would come and do this because it was too small. A lady the other day, she goes, I have a very small project for you. I know it'll be super small for you. Don't worry. Anytime, whenever you get a chance, just come by. And I'm like, my words to her was literally, nothing is too small for us.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I mean, it's small for you. I'm like, nothing is too small for us. Whatever it is, give me a call. I promise you we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And if we can't, like I'll tell you, this is not really in our wheelhouse. But I've only had to do that one time in the last 12 or 13 years.
Yeah. And I can attest to that because I've had 2 small projects and I was like, Derrick, I got some small stuff around here. However, I trust you all in our home. You've done a good job. I don't want to wait, 6 to 8 weeks or whatever.
Right.
And you're right. I do think that there is power in being full service for people when you can be. And if you can do it and that's a part of your business model, then why not?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So you think the mistake in there is that you haven't done a good job with telling the story around what Daz is truly capable of.
Right. Yeah, I think I need to focus, maybe not focus, but maybe I need to redirect the energy in terms of like how I show what we do and how we do it. Sometimes, there's this like running theme where like business owners now have to be content creators, right?
Listen.
Which is so annoying because it's not like my thing. I'm not, being in front of the camera and like being behind the camera. Like, no, I just want to service you, see you smile, and be about my business. That's it.
And now here you are doing interviews.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought, right? But like, the reality is I do realize that not everyone needs large renovations. Not everybody needs or can really be in a position to have a large renovation done. I know that I was that person at one point, right? And so when I designed the company in terms of like what we did, how we do it, who we're going to do it for, it was literally just, if you are in a home of some sort and in your mind something comes up, you're like, I can call Derrick. If he can't do it, he knows how to get it done or knows somebody who can do it, right?
Yeah.
That's all I ever really wanted to do when this really started happening. It's like, I don't want to be focused on just kitchens or bathrooms or floors or roofs, right? I want to be able to come in and you say, hey, I have this and I have this and I have that. And I can say, okay, let's prioritize things. If you don't want to do it all at one time, I can show you how to do that. And based on what I've learned through, real estate investment, I know like how to prioritize things properly, so.
Yeah. I strongly believe that the growth of our friendship is, of course, us rooted in being graduates from Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
But
Which is a great program.
It is a great program, right? But it's also rooted in connecting and networking, right? Because literally we could have graduated from the program and could have been like, all right, we're done. Like, we don't need to connect anymore, but we've curated these spaces where we continue to get together. Let's talk about that, the connecting and networking piece, which of course is on top of running a business, pulling P&Ls, running up, it's this other piece that's sort of necessary with being a business owner. What grade would you give yourself? If you think about networking and connecting overall, what grade would you give yourself from A to F these days?
I'm definitely a failing grade.
No!
I'm a fail. So here's
a
the
D
thing.
or an F?
I don't want to say F because we're here, right?
Okay, right.
So I don't want to give it an F, but like it's close. It's fighting, right? But it is a good reason why though.
Okay.
So when you think about like networking events, right?
Yeah.
The idea of it sounds great. You go there, you talk to some people, you change some cars, whatever, right? But that's not really like my vibe. I'm not here to sell myself. I'm not here to like try to get something from you or see how I can benefit from you, right? I prefer to let things happen naturally and organically. That's what happened with us, right? You mentioned my waves, and then we talked about something in class where certain things that we like together.
Yeah, and watch it, like all kind of things,
right? And so that just organically happened, right? And today we're here, and I think that also happens too with like my clients.
Yeah.
Again, we're not advertising and we're not putting out posters and all that stuff, right? What happens is, I come in and I do Jacqueline's office. Her friend comes over and say, oh my God, I didn't know you did this. You know what? I have a project in my house. So I wonder, can he do it? And then you say,
he does a great job and he's fantastic.
And sure, he can do it.
Yes.
And then I come over and I do it and it's done, right?
Yep.
And then she does the same thing and then so forth and so on. And so I don't bank on that happening.
Sure.
But, the universe says that when you put out good things come back. So that's all I do, So the whole networking piece, like the act of it, is like, I don't really like it. But I mean, I know, the people who are supposed to be in my life and who I'm supposed to be around, like I'll attract those individuals.
Yeah.
The things that are for me are going to come for me. And so, I'm good with that. Yeah.
I do think that the world of networking is changing overall, and the way in which we can do it is changing. Mm-hmm. The days of, I'm going to go to this event, this reception, pass out a gazillion business cards. Like, I don't like to do that at all, right? I also burn out quickly. Like, I could get bored in an event in like 25 minutes, right? I do think it is important that you find ways that it works for you. Mm-hmm. But it just doesn't feel like there's an option for us to not network as entrepreneurs. It's about figuring out like how to do it in a way that fits into your life.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it. Like I've intentionally like, okay, I'm going to go to 2 networking events this month. I'm going to go and
well, with that face, that's not going to work. 2 of them,
because you got to be serious about it, right? You got to be like,
gotta go.
Because if you don't like doing it, right, you got to like actually put it behind you,
right?
And so I remember I went to this event in DC, which was actually not bad. One of my buddies, he had hosted it, and it actually wasn't bad. I met a couple people there. But like the follow-up wasn't good, the conversation was okay, but like it was more so like the person was bragging about the contracts they had in the city, and it's like, all right, cool, like relax.
Cool, right. We all accomplished something. We all up in here.
Right, like we're like relax, like you're invited here because you have been of some sort of like level of importance.
Right.
Or you have some sort of level of success. Mm-hmm. He didn't just invite everybody.
Right.
And so we don't have to like,
prove that we're supposed to be here. Right.
You don't put your resume on your chest.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right. You're here, you're here. Mm-hmm. And so that was a little bit thrown off. But again, I feel like a lot of networking events, like that's what happens. They either try to figure out what it is that they can get from you, or you're there to sell yourself. Mm-hmm. And neither of which I'm interested in. So I just don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're failing, but next year you won't be failing.
It won't be in question next year. I'm not even going to we're going to just take networking out of the whole equation, all right? That way you don't have to worry about like failing, nothing. It doesn't exist.
I'm not being graded on that. That's what.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That ain't even on the test. We ain't even worry about it, for sure.
Let's go back to projects, the projects that you've worked on overall. Okay. I know you've worked on some big ones. I know you've worked on some small ones. Mm-hmm. Tell me, what's one of your favorites? I know that's almost like asking what's your favorite parent or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, like I said, the favorite projects are the ones that make me feel a certain way on the inside. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not what we accomplish. It's not, like the 2 projects that I told you about before, where, change their situation and save the marriage. Those 2 projects weren't like design heavy at all, and so it's hard to place that even on a scale. But what did happen was their story was way more important, way more impactful to me.
Yeah.
And so for like, projects like that, they tend to rank higher for me. Mm-hmm. We have some obviously that like, are design heavy and that look good and I think belong in some magazines. I could be biased, right? But I mean, at the same time, like those projects like did not even come to mind when you asked that question.
Yeah.
Like the first thing came to mind was like the look that I saw on the person's face when the reveal came, right? Or the review that came from behind it, or when the kids ran in the room and they were like, oh my God, and blah, 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 right? Those situations come to mind, and those projects are the ones that mean the most to me, right?
Yeah.
Now what we did and how we did is like the result.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a trick question, and the correct answer was Jacqueline's office was my favorite project.
He's like, let me ask him and see if he changes his, no.
Let me do a vibe check, and the vibe failed. The vibe check.
I told you there's plenty of times I fail, and I'm good at failing.
Can we talk about what's next? I know just through conversation. That you've accomplished quite a bit, known and unknown. Mm-hmm. There are goals that you've had that you've surpassed, and some that I know you're still working on. Yep. And I'm just curious about what's next for you.
I am too.
Okay.
I literally have no idea. Time will tell. I do think that I do think that, you know, I should really focus on making sure that we have a company that outlasts me.
Why is that important for you?
Well, because, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like I really do think that we're like making dreams come true. I really do think that we are changing people's lives. You know, we're making spaces more functional and making your life a little bit easier in a lot of situations. And it would be very sad for that to go away just because I'm gone away.
Yeah.
Right. You know, as you said, there aren't many people or companies who give you a certain level of customer service, a certain level of quality, all the things that you enjoyed while we were in your home, right? Yeah. There aren't many companies that do that. And I'm not sure why, but that's always been the stigma behind, you know, general contractors or, you know, people who do work in your home. That's just what it's been. That's why I never tell people I'm a general contractor. Like, I hate that term just because I don't want to be associated with those people.
Yeah.
But you know, at some point, like, I'm gonna have to leave this earth, right? We all do.
Sure.
And when I do, I don't want the business to die with it.
Yeah.
You know, not because, you know, my whoever comes behind me needs to, you know, take over, or not because I feel like I need to build this like $1 billion business or whatever. No, I think that if there's something special that exists, it should last as long as it possibly can.
Yeah.
And I don't think one person should have the power to decide whether or not that's going to last or not, even if it's the owner of the company.
Yeah.
So I do want to make sure that I have that foundation very strong. So maybe I'll start focusing on that. Who knows? I mean, I think we've done an okay job so far. But if something happens to me like leaving here today,
but it won't.
It won't.
Don't put that in my energy.
It won't. But at the same time, you know, listen. You just never know. So I just want to make sure that things are in place, and that, you know, if for whatever reason, you know, someone is not there to carry on whatever it is that I've built from here on out, that all the systems are in place so we can continue to make people smile and happy and transform spaces.
Yeah. It's interesting because while I know that you wouldn't choose to use this word, it is what the legacy of Daz is, right? And not necessarily Daz, you, right? Even though the company is technically your initials, it is the legacy of the company and what that looks like in 2, 5, 10, 20 years. Right. So that joy can still be made through the spaces that people choose to live in and call home. Yeah.
I mean, if you remember in class, they were asking us, like, what were our exit plan, our exit goals.
Look right behind you. Mine is literally on the wall, on that same index card.
We did use index card. That's right. I forgot.
That's what it is over there.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, Robin, who was my advisor. She kept saying, "You gotta have, it's part of business. You gotta have an exit plan. And I'm just like,
you're like, oh.
Well, not only that, but it's like I don't want to exit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe not work forever, but I think I'll always have some sort of like foot in the door where I'm like, you know, servicing clients. And if I do have to exit for whatever reason, voluntary or involuntary, there should be things in place to carry on. And I just don't want that to like all land on my shoulders, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that things are in place. And again, there is no exit plan, you know, but there is a plan where we need to have a strong foundation, continue on for as long as we possibly can.
Yeah, that was such a heavy exercise for me. If I think about all the exercises that we did as a part of the Goldman Sachs program, Goldman Sachs should probably sponsor this conversation because we've been listen.
That's like 5 times. I don't know.
Listen.
We need to check.
Okay. That was one of the heaviest conversations because I feel like I hadn't thought about it directly, which is crazy because a part of my professional background was sourcing fintech and health tech companies, and they thought so much about investing and exits, but I just hadn't thought about it for my company, and I was just like, oh, like it was such a heavy thing of like, you want me to write this down right now?
Right,
like,
yeah. Think about it now, write it down and share. I'm like, wait a minute.
Right. Today?
I need a moment. Like, first of all, to even think through the fact that there should be an exit plan just by itself was like, it threw me for a bit because I'm like, why would I exit? I love what I'm doing.
I remember you saying that. And I remember you just looking like, I'm not exiting.
Like that's just like you know somebody said that they're gonna like exit something they truly in love. Like you're gonna exit your family, you're gonna exit the car that you live. You're gonna like why? I love it here. You know what I mean? Like why am I leaving? What's the point? Right. You know, and I get it though. I get like on the business side, I get it, right? You know, you want to build a company that is valuable and can be evaluated at a certain whatever and blah 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 blah. I get all the business stuff, right? But like. On the surface level, like if you love what you're doing, you don't really think about leaving it.
That was my thing. It wasn't that I didn't understand the exit process. Like it was my world for a while.
Right.
But it was, what it really was for me is you're so busy doing so many other things, right? Refining these vendors that you're working with, finding time to spend with family. And it's like, wait, I gotta think about leaving it? Like I got a lot to do here.
You're focused on building and they're telling you to think about leaving.
Right.
Wait a minute, I ain't finished building yet.
Right. And today?
And right now. Like, so yeah, no, it was also a difficult task for me to do too. And I still haven't, again, I still haven't came up with anything. But,
yeah,
it's got to be
You
done.
Started it. You wrote something on the index card.
Yeah, I did. I don't really remember what it was, but I'm sure whatever it was, Robin was like, no, that ain't it. So. Yeah.
Derrick, tell me what... and our audience as well that loves to listen to these types of conversations. What do you want them to know about you and the business that maybe they wouldn't have expected to know or learn?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know really. I mean, listen, I show up, I show up Derrick. There isn't like... And
you're pretty consistent.
That is so fun fact, that is my favorite word.
Yeah, I will say I legit can vouch for the fact that you are consistent. Yeah. And to be clear here, I've had very long tenured friendships. Most of my friends I've been friends with since high school, like, a long time. Right. And so we're newer friends, but even in the newness of our friendship of, a few years, still, like it's been enough time where if you were inconsistent, it would have been like, okay, well here it comes. right. The friendship honeymoon phase is over.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, you're now showing up for who you really are, right?
Yes.
No, I mean I always show up who I am, because I feel like you can't fake that. Yeah. At some point you have to like the jig is up. You know what I mean? Like at some point you got to show up and really like be who you are, and I just feel like it's easier for everybody to just show up who you are, right? You're going to like me, you're going to love me, you're going to hate me. You probably won't hate me. But like, you may dislike some of the things I may do or I may say, but like, it's going to be genuine. Yeah. I'm going to be truthful. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Those are the things that I know I keep at my core. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, you invite me over, friend or business, right? I'm going to be a consistent individual. Yeah. And I think people respect that. At least I feel like they do. You know what I mean? If you can trust somebody, at least on that level, to know, or at least to understand what you're gonna get. Yeah. Then half of the task is like already done. Yeah.
And I believe that it is important to stay consistent, even if you don't think that that's what the other person wants, right? Like I have some friends that are not timely. I have some friends that aren't very thoughtful, right? They're good people at their core, but like they are consistently like that. It's like, okay, they not gonna ever be on time, right? And even in that, I mean, you can get better at it. They're consistent, right? Yeah. And I think at least you know what you're getting.
Exactly. I mean, even like if they're always late, at least you know they're going to be late all the time.
Which I don't like, but okay.
but it's like you already know it, right?
So I can adjust.
You can adjust, right? You can say if I need that person to be there at 3:30, I'm going to tell the person to be here at 2:30. Right. Just in case.
I was going to say 3. Dang, a whole hour.
Well, if it bothers you that much, like, do you rather them be here early than be on time?
It's
you
true.
know what I mean? And for them, they're like, well, okay, you told me 2:30. I'm here at 3:30.
Okay, great. Let's get started.
You see, right? It works out for everybody. So yeah, I mean, people should always show up who they are. Yeah. I just feel like that's the best way to do it. Be honest. And again, there's always a honeymoon phase. Yeah. Even in when we're talking about business here, right? When I show up to customer houses for the first time, there's always going to be like this interview process, right? You're interviewing me, I'm interviewing you, right? And people don't always know that. Right. I'm also interviewing you.
Do I want to work on this?
Do I want to work on this or work with you?
Right.
Right? Because I don't have to take every job that comes our way. You know what I mean? If you're not the right fit, then you or your project is not the right fit. I'll tell you why, and hopefully we come to an agreement that we understand that like this is not going to work. Yeah. I'd rather do that than start things get hectic. You don't get what you want, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I'd rather just be upfront, right? So there's an interview process between both of us. And same thing with friends too. If you come along and you're a new person, like that whole no new friend thing, right? Listen, you come along in my atmosphere, like I'm interviewing you. I'm sorry, because I need a certain energy around me.
Absolutely, I agree.
I don't want you to break that energy. I feel like I have a good energy. I feel like, when I show up, I'm going to show up again as who I am. Yeah. That's because it's the energy that I have for myself. If I invite somebody else into my atmosphere, that may mess up that energy. Yeah. And I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. It might be good for you, but it's bad for me.
I completely, listen, I'm with you on that. I'm also with you on the business piece of, it seems like there is this period in the small business owner era where you feel like you got to take everything, right? Maybe when you're early on. And it is nice to get to a place, not even that you've necessarily crossed a certain revenue threshold, but a mental space, a space of clarity that you can just say, yeah, that one's not for me, right? And it might be not for you because whatever their ethos is, the way that they move, it's just like, hey, the money's there, but that one's not for me.
Right.
And I encourage so many business owners that I talk to now to be very discerning about that, because you will end up hating the work that you love because you allowed the wrong business to come into your ether. Yeah. Even if the money looks good, right? Yeah. But then you'll hate this craft that you have. Yeah. And my wish for a lot of business owners that they get to a place of discernment of, based on this criteria, money could be a part of it, but not all of it. Yeah. That's a yes or that's a no for me.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, you just have to kind of go through it, right?
You do.
You're going to take those customers, you're going to learn a lesson, it's going to bite you in the butt, and some may learn from it, some may not, right? I mean, I did have a phase in my career where I was taking pretty much everything,
yeah,
right?
But you do have to have a season of yes.
Right.
You just got to decide how long it's going to be.
Yeah, but not only that, too, I think you need to also have the certain bandwidth to know how to deal with the ones that you probably shouldn't have taken, right? Right. You can't handle every customer and client the same way. Every project is kind of different. And so when you get into that situation where you're like, this is going to be a nightmare, right? You got to know how to get through that nightmare, right? Yeah.
Because you got to finish the job.
Not only do you got to finish, but you need to, well, I shouldn't say you need to, but you should finish in a way that is the same quality that you would do as anyone else. Don't just try to get in and get out because it's a nightmare, right? Figure it out, do the right thing. When you do the right thing, it'll always work out for you.
Right.
Just do the right thing. I come through so many customers, they're like, the person stole my money or they did this or they did that. And I'm just like, all they had to do was just do the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And it's not really that hard to do. It takes more energy to try to like get over on someone.
Yeah, to be shiesty.
Than to just do what you're supposed to do. It's way easier. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's way easier. So
I say it all the time about scammers. Like, scammers be putting in a lot of energy.
They do.
And it's like, man, you could do so much more if you use that same scamming skill set
like
for good.
Like, you're an IT genius. You know what I mean? Like, for you to be in a different country
or here,
right? Like, listen, I've gotten my identity stolen before. I've been through that whole phase, right? And the level of trickery, that they did, it was amazing to me, right? I wasn't even upset, right?
You were impressed.
I was legit. I'm not legit because some of the cars that they got, I was like, well, how did they even? No one was in the store. Like, no one ever came in the store. Like, well, how did they get the car? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. But like, it was a lot of things that was happening. I'm just like, this is genius. Like, I literally was not upset. I was like, okay, FDIC is here. Like, we're in America. You know what I mean? Like, come on. There's things in place where we can be fine. Yeah. So
you deserve that money. You worked hard.
And not only that, somebody probably actually needed that, right? Yeah, maybe. Like maybe, right?
Maybe.
I told you I give people the benefit of the doubt all the time.
I guess. I don't know about this one.
I'm literally like, you know what? You stole X amount of dollars, right? You got how many cars? You got all this stuff, right?
Cars? CARS?
No, cards, credit cards.
I'm like, that was not for good.
No. They got like tons of cards and all that stuff, whatever, right? But like my first thought was, you know what? They probably needed it more than I did at this time.
Maybe.
Right? And so what? FDIC is here. They'll reimburse me. I'll get the stuff back. They'll fix my credit. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Everything is fine today. It was a year later after that happened. It's fine. Right?
Yeah. Just imagine if they started an IT company and could use those services and be a gazillionaire. But anyway.
And not have to worry about going to jail.
Right.
Like,
oh, that part. That's right.
We forgot all about going to prison, right? Like, come on. I mean, but again, I ain't gonna knock nobody hustle. I'm just saying you ain't got to do all that.
Right.
You know, there's better ways to make your buck. So.
But hey, Derrick, listen, I have really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, it's good.
And
yeah.
I appreciate your willingness to be in front of the camera. I know that it's not your first inclination to do. I know you just want to be behind doing the creative stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to grace more stages and be in front of more cameras.
Oh no, I mean, I did this for you because you I know you're great at what you do, so I said this should be easy, But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I'm not opposed to it, but like it's definitely not my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I can teach somebody something, or if I can educate somebody on a certain aspect or a certain topic, like put the camera on. Let's go. You know what I mean? What's the worst that can happen?
But the main thing is that you will inspire, you will teach, you will show other people what's possible, whether you're trying to do that or not, because you already have. Like literally in the midst of our friendship, like I'm like, oh, I never thought of this like that. Oh, I've never thought of this like that.
Right.
And so because you're rooted in good and doing the right thing, like that's going to happen.
Right.
So I look forward to seeing you in front of the camera a bit more.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for spending time with me. Appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Awesome.